I mean, gifting is really very simple. It's about gratitude. And you, it's somewhat difficult to express the depth of your gratitude before something's happened. It's easier to express it after something's happened. And when we put a price on things, we're setting up a kind of I'll trade you this for you trade me that situation. And particularly where sacred objects are involved, but it includes a lot of other things. Um, when you seek something from one of the elders or a medicine person, you go with them with a gift to start with, but typically that's a very relatively inexpensive unless you really got a big ask. But typically tobacco and maybe some print is sufficient. And when you're done, then you express your gratitude in whatever way seems most appropriate to you. Because the person who responded to you, that you made the ask of, has no idea of the depth of your gratitude, nor the amount of your wealth. They haven't got a clue. And they don't have Google to check your financial status before you start. So the result is that people come to you in Indian country in a traditional way. You know, they make requests, usually with tobacco, and if you accept the tobacco, you accept the obligation to meet their request as best you know how. And I've been doing that for a long time now, because I make ceremonial pipes, and I've been gifted with paintings worth $10,000, literally, and with a little barbecue set from Canadian Tire, probably worth $8.75. And I have no way of knowing which one expressed the deeper gratitude, because both gave as they thought best, as they felt called to do. And for me to try to evaluate that and say, well, you know, hey, I spent 10 hours doing that and at $8 and something, that's only 8 cents an hour. It makes no sense in Indian country. It makes no sense. I've often told the story of being on the street with Abe, and a street guy spotted us, and I saw him reach down and pick up a butt of a cigarette. And he straightened it out, kind of cleaned the end of it. You know, it's like just yay long. It's just a cigarette butt, right? But he comes rushing up to the elder, and he offers him that cigarette butt for prayers. And you would have thought from the elder's reaction that he just handed him $1 million check from Publishers Clearinghouse. Okay? He accepted that tobacco. And I learned, you don't judge people by this kind of financial arrangements. So I also know what Meenakshi is saying about putting price on things, because we have a wonderful place here called the Northern Light Sanctuary, I think, or the Mountain Sanctuary, Northern Light Sanctuary. And they have meditation spaces and they have lodging, very conventional lodging. I stayed there in a treehouse with no plumbing and no power. You know, they tell the men to go pee in the woods. There's a washroom in the main house, but that's it. But they don't charge anything. They just work on a gifting basis. And so many people were having difficulty with that they finally, because when you left, what you did was just leave whatever you wanted on the table in the main house and walk out. They didn't take credit cards or anything. Well, they still do that. But now they've taken the average gift size and published it because people demanded to know how much it cost. And it has nothing to do, they don't charge you that amount. They make very clear. This is not a fee. This is an average of the gifts left over 10 years. Okay? And I still run my Reiki and my healing and my ceremonies online and all that. I still operate that way. If people want to send me a gift, I'm most appreciative. I'm really grateful. Free just sent me 43 pounds of treats and coffee and not only that, but she had separate bags of treats. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. You know the amount of work that takes to figure out whatever I don't know what her calculations were, but some of them had little applesauce and some had protein bars. And I mean, each one was quite heavy. I think I could have lived all day on what was in one bag. And these are supposed to be snacks. Who does that? You know, how does that equate to price or value? It doesn't. So in an Indian country, it's about the person receiving whatever they received, determining the depths of their gratitude and the depths of their pockets. It's up to them. And it's up to the person providing whatever service they're providing to accept that with grace and gratitude. Very simple. You don't walk in with expectations, oh, I'm going to make $40 on this. You have no expectation whatsoever of what's going to come out of it. And I've had people try and hand me money and I've turned them down, particularly in Indian country. They said, you can't buy this. Because the elders were super concerned about white people beginning to misunderstand that they could buy sacred services, ceremonies, pipe ceremonies, that kind of stuff. And they didn't want people to have that impression. They said, you cannot buy this stuff. And they actually had a conference in a talking room. I was there. They had elders from most of the tribes, probably 25 people, elders, medicine people. And they finally said, okay, because a lot of the funding is coming through governments, we don't have a choice. The people who are asking us for services don't have a choice. So what we decided and what the elders decided is we will accept money or checks, provided you tell us what it's to be used for. Because if you're dealing with your own elder, you know whether his grandkids need a movie or a new shirt or a pair of shoes. You know that. You know if the elder needs a new gun. You know because he's part of your community and you know him. When you start dealing with government officials and NGOs and they're asking for services like a pipe ceremony, the people who are asking really don't know. They don't know that person well enough. And so the elder said, we will accept money, but we're not setting a price, and you have to tell us how we're to use those funds. Take your wife to a dance, go to supper, take a holiday, and you're obligated to follow that to the best of your ability. And at least in Canada, that's the result, and that's what's happened. And so NGOs will put in, you know, I want $600 for gifts for elders. And then they'll ask an elder for a pipe ceremony. And we know what the typical average kind of gift is. So we'll say, you know, well, let's offer them $100. They'll always say, yes, I could have asked them 10. But you have to find out enough about that elder to know how to tell them to spend it. Otherwise, you really don't have a relationship. Your relationship is, I'm buying a pipe ceremony for $10 or $100. And I take that rather seriously. I still accept money occasionally. Somebody will just not know any better, but they don't tell me how to use it because I'm not all Cree. But that's gifting in the short version. It's about gratitude, and it's about deciding after the fact by the person receiving your services how deep their gratitude is and how deep their pockets are. Anyway.